share this information. This is valuable information that, the classroom is there for all of us so that we can learn new truths and continue living the life of our dreams. So I'm going to ask you to start the process of sharing and liking and letting me know that you're watching in the classroom, doing everything you possibly can to let me know that you are here in support of what we're doing. Today I'm by myself, so I wanted to share some thoughts and some things that are happening. So I'm going to turn on the recorder, and I'm trusting because I can't see. I can't see if anybody who is in the classroom. So let me know. Send me some love because I am by myself. Well, actually, I'm not by myself. I know who's beside me. So here we go. So today in the classroom, we are going to talk about respectfully disagreeing and other things that are happening in the classroom that are very, very exciting. So fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And if this is your first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. As you know, this has been my mission for quite some time. I didn't know it was going to become my mission. But when I was given this show, at the time it was a show on the radio, a weekend little thing, a little weekend gig, a little habit, a hobby, or whatever you want to call it, I never knew it would completely changed my life. And I hope that it has changed your life too. Let me know where you're watching from today, what you've learned today, or what you've learned so far from the classroom. I want this to be interactive because there's a lot of things that are happening in my life that, that I have not shared with you. But in every step of the way, every time something happens, it becomes a gift and a lesson. Today is no different. And I want to say hello to my special friend, Bubba, who apparently is a real big fan of my classroom. So if he's listening, just want to let him know that I've got my eye on you. So with that in mind, I just want you to know that things are changing in this world. They're changing a lot. And there's a lot of division, great division. And, it's almost biblical. You read it in the Bible saying people will turn away and your children will turn away from their parents, and the, brother against sister and neighbor against neighbor. And I'm seeing this unravel in front of our eyes. And just recently, as you know, I've interviewed Judy Mikovits, who's an incredible virologist and scientist, and Bigtree, who's out there battling all the, suing the pharmaceutical industry, especially the vaccine in particular, to make sure that their vaccines are safe and they're not harming people. And we have Mikki Willis, who just created this wonderful movie called Plandemic, which I'll probably get deleted right now for saying that. But and then of course Reinette Senum, who has taken a stand as a mayor of Nevada City, Nevada, who said cannot do this anymore. Many people are taking stands, but we're being tricked. We're being tricked. And let me tell you a little bit more about this. And the book, and we gave away, I think, 10 of these books. And actually, we gave away 20 of the PDF of it. And I think we gave away 10 of the books. I'm not 100. I can't remember right now of how many we did. But there's a lot of you out there that have done the research, that are not just repeating what you hear, that you're looking at what is out there, and it's just not making sense. So up to now, I've shared with you that I don't wear a mask, but I have made an exception. In order to be with my mom who has dementia, in order to be a part of her, to help her, I have had to wear a mask. And the other day, Dr. Lorraine Day said, yeah, I'll play your silly little games, but I am there for my mom. So there have been, I have some exceptions now, I can tell you. But for the most part, I don't wear a mask and I'm healthy. I'm healthy and I'm grateful. And every time that I've gone to a location, I'm usually maybe one of two people not wearing a mask. And what I do is when people look at me with their mask, with their nose exposed, which go figure, I don't know what the mask is for if it's just covering their mouth. You could tell that they're looking at me going, wow, I wish I had that courage. As a matter of fact, I was standing in line with somebody at Costco and she had her mask over her mouth. And she said, I don't put it over my nose because that's how I rebel. And I said, but now you're putting it over your mouth. What's the point? What's the point of rebellion with putting it over your mouth? That's just a symbolism of being shut down, of being quieted. It's also a sacrifice, a sacrificial, what they do for sacrifices, the people that worship Satan. Those are satanic worship sacrifices where they wear masks. And so there's other things that symbolize the mask. And so we were standing in line. She goes, boy, I wish I had your courage. I said, well, I have a letter and I have a lung condition. She goes, I have COPD. And so there was that conversation. Well, why are you wearing a mask? Well, my doctor won't let me. My doctor won't allow it. They'll get in trouble if they sign a letter. Well, I'm very grateful to the place where I got my letter because they took a stand. And sometimes you do have to take a stand. And all these years of learning to take a stand, here we are. What kind of stand are we going to make? So I was in Jacksonville not too long ago, and I was really, really hungry. And I said, can we stop, at this place so I can buy, I went to a grocery store to buy something that I could quickly eat before we can get to our next place. And Robert, being the kind husband that he is, pulled in. I got in and I was walking to get some hummus and carrots. And as I was walking away, a guy said to me, well, aren't you special? And he was wearing a mask. And I looked back at him and I smiled and I just kept going. But then after that, I'm hearing, oh man, he could have taken a gun and shot you, or he could have done this. And all this fear was coming at me, all this fear of all the things that could have gone wrong. But you know what? If I decide to engage with this person, then I can go down that line of scenario. And if someone decides to take action against me because I'm not wearing a mask, or I'm taking a stand, or wherever it is that we need to take a stand in, if by chance I take that person on and they retaliate, well, I contributed to that. But if I did not engage the person and I just smiled at them and they retaliate because now they're guessing that I'm being smug or whatever, then shame on them. I can't control what you do, but I can certainly control how I respond. Have any of you found yourself in a position where it's not what you do or what they do, it's how you respond? And perhaps after a while, you go back and say, man, I wish I would have responded in a different way. So moving forward, I am at the hair salon, and they allow me to go in there because they know I have a lung condition and that I don't wear a mask. They let me in. I've gone in there several times. And here we are towards almost where they're saying that pretty soon we won't, there will be no problems. And apparently my friend who's the owner was pulled aside and said, because of me, somebody else was leaving. And she pitched a fit. And I felt really bad for my friend, who is looking at two customers, right? Two people, two different perspectives, two different positions. And a meltdown could have occurred, but I appreciate how she handled it. We were in two separate rooms. We weren't even next to each other, but she walked past where I was, and she was getting her, I guess, nails done. I have no idea what she was doing, but she pitched a fit because I was there without a mask, even though we didn't come in contact with one another at all, not even 6 feet apart, probably beyond 15 feet apart. That's the fear that's out there. That is what, people are attacking one another, and I do not believe it. I do not believe it. I believe that people are kind deep down inside. They don't want to do this, but we're seeing paid actors so that we'll go, ooh, that could happen to us. That could be me. So therefore, I am going to comply. That's my perspective. I could totally be wrong. And I will look at your comments in a little bit. And I really do appreciate all of you that are letting yourself be known that you are in the classroom. And I am so grateful to all of you. So what ended up happening is I told my friend, I'll leave. And she said, no, I don't want you to leave. And I said, okay, let's come up with I said, why don't you just do my hair outside? So we went to a picnic on the outside of their place, and she colored my hair while we were outside. And I did a little bit of work. And then before she did, I said, okay, we got to think this through. Do you have a way of washing my hair where I don't have to, that this is not going to be a big deal? And so we figured out a win-win. She got to keep her client happy, and I was able to get my hair done, and everything happened the way it did. But that was the first time in all these months that someone complained about, they were violently complaining, not attacking or anything, but voicing their opinion that they will never come back if I'm allowed to stay. But do you see how if we were to engage that person, if I would have gotten in her face and gone, what the heck are you talking about? Or, you're just ignorant. You need to know that this is because she's saying the same thing I'm saying, but the opposite. I'm thinking she doesn't have all the information, and I'm praying for her. And she's probably thinking I'm an ignorant woman. And we both are doing the same thing, except I did not do anything other than just be who I am. So it was the first time that I had experienced that. I don't know, have any of you experienced where you're taking a stand and someone has confronted you? How do you behave? Do you take them on, or do you separate yourself from the problem? Now we're seeing all this reports in the media that people are getting shot, people are getting beaten. Again, I refuse to believe that. I believe in human decency, and I do believe that there is an image that the media wants us to believe. And that's just the next escalation. If you're thinking about it, someone can beat you up. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes you just got to take a stand. And with that in mind, I started thinking, what I am seeing in that person is her heart. What I'm seeing in that person who I've never met, she doesn't know who I am. She doesn't know if I've done any research or not. She's judging me just because I don't have a mask on. That I want to talk to you guys. For those of you who are out there that love your mask and you don't care about your mask, and we've learned from Judy Mikovits and other virologists that the virus is between 10 to 1,000 times, depending on what virus, 10 to 1,000 times smaller than the smallest pore on your mask. You have openings here, you have openings here, you have openings here. And of course, you have openings here because you have to breathe, right? If not, you'd be wearing plastic, or you would have a whole suit for this virus that is killing 0.0002, or it's a very small. But of course, one life is one life too many. But I don't see anybody crying over people who are dying of diabetes, or taking a stand for people who are eating foods that are going to cause heart disease, or people that have been infected by tainted blood, or by a needle, or by promiscuity. No one is putting those lives that we have lost on display. We need to stop and think there's more to the story. And I'm not going to dive deeper into that. I just want you to know that if you see somebody that's not wearing a mask, give them the benefit of the doubt. No different than when you're driving and somebody cuts you off on the road. Now, you can flip them off, you can say terrible things about them, or you can say, God, I remember that happened to me just recently. I just almost cut somebody off. I didn't see them, I didn't do it on purpose, or whatever. What about that? What about seeing yourself, seeing the plank in your eye before noticing the speck with the person that you're disagreeing with? Now, I'm not saying that disagreements are easy, or, when you're trying to change somebody's mind, but here's the thing. After being 10 weeks, we're going on 11, Monday will be 11 weeks that we've been doing the New Truth series, Book of Revelation. That series, and by the way, you can still be involved in this even after we're done. We have everything recorded. We're even talking about doing some DVDs. So if there's any interest in doing the DVDs, you need to let us know. But the one major takeaway, other than we know how the story ends, but the one major takeaway that I have gotten from the Book of Revelation is to trust God. It's not up to me to change you. And that has lifted such great weight off my shoulders. Like, I'm doing this classroom for those who want to learn and grow. I am not doing this classroom for people who don't give a darn and they just want to critique everything I say, or not critique, be critical of everything I do or say. They're not here to be curious. They're here to be critical. It doesn't bother me at all. I know my intention and I know my heart. I'm here to be helpful. If you take the information, great. If you don't accept the invitation, that's fine too. And for you to think that criticizing me is going to make a difference in my life, then you are sadly mistaken. And in fact, you probably care more about you than you care about me. And you have to be right in order to be the way you are, critical or whatever it is. So I've been seeing it, but not to the point where people are getting beaten up. I've been seeing it. I experienced it for the first time. So I thought, okay, what can we do? What can we do? I take ownership of the fact that I don't wear a mask. I take ownership, with the exception of I will do anything and everything to protect those I love. And I love all of you. And that's why I take these risks. But I'm not going to do it at the detriment of my health. So whenever there's a disagreement where good friends are defriending each other on Facebook, or because you have a political view or whatever it is, there's a lot of people out there that are just ready to pounce on you. But what are you ready to do? Are you ready to diffuse the situation? Or are you ready to pounce on them back? You know, that's a lose-lose. Nobody wins. Even if you think you won, you lost. Because how will that anger, how will that emotion affect your body? How will it impact you? The reality is, my major takeaway is, all I can do is what I'm being asked to do by God. And God does the rest. I don't have to change your mind. I don't have to force feed you. I don't have to give you that medication or take away that medication that's going to harm you. I am not going to do any of that. You get to choose. And whatever you choose, I'm okay with. Truly, honestly, I'm okay with. But for you to think that you have to attack me and my values and my beliefs, that's for you, not for me. But I will tell you that if that is how you handle a disagreement, once the disagreement is done with you and I'm done with it. But it'll fester in you. It will fester in you because I've already forgiven. And I have already, because I know what lack of forgiveness, I've seen it. And I know many of you, I love talking about forgiveness. I love talking about those things because I know, like Dr. Day says, 99% of all disease, 99% begins in the heart. So if you think that by being a combative individual, if you think that taking somebody on to prove them wrong, that you're winning, you are going to hurt yourself in the long run. In the long run, that anger, frustration, manipulation, control will sit in your body somewhere, and it'll start festering because you'll recall the story again and again and again and again. And every time you recall the story, it'll start festering and brewing and doing all these things. So how do you disagree? You allow the other person to have their opinion, and that other person allows you to have your opinion. And if you can come to an agreement, then that's wonderful. And if you can't come with an agreement, whatever my perspective is that you're not following, then let God handle that. And whatever your disagreement with me that I'm not following, let God handle that. You did your part. You said what you needed to say. You did what you needed to do. And now it's up to God. So that is my greatest takeaway from the book of Revelation. First, to know that good wins, God wins. We know the end of the story, right? For those of you who are followers of, and you have been in the classroom with me with Dr. Lorraine Day, I mean, has that not been so liberating for me? I don't know if it's been liberating for you, but I know it has been liberating for me. Let me know. Let me know in your comments. Tell me how, and by the way, if you are watching, because I know there's a lot of you watching right now, if you don't put a thumbprint, a like it, a heart, or tag somebody that needs to have this conversation with you, maybe there's you can't meet, what can you do? I refuse to do this. You refuse to do that. But can we come up with 5 things you are willing to do? Now, how would that argument go? Well, I don't want to do this. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Oh, fester, 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 weeks, weeks, years, years, months, months, whatever. Or you don't want to do this? I don't want to do this. But what do you want to do? What are you willing to compromise in? How can you meet me halfway? What can we do to make sure we create win-win? So that is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because, as we're going through the mindset, I am so, when I was a little girl, I don't think I've ever said this in the classroom or in the show back then when it was a show. I remember there was something about me, and I've said this before, but I don't say this very often. But I feel what people are feeling. If I allow myself, if I'm at a party, that's when it's the worst. That's when it's the worst. And I never knew why I did what I did, because I refused to accept this as a gift. I thought it was a curse. And I shut it down, but I still would pick on it from time to time. And this is what it was. So from time to time, this is what would happen. Or when I was younger, if I had a position and I had a disagreement with you, or if I saw you doing something that was against God's wishes or against the plan or whatever, and you weren't seeing what I was seeing and I wasn't seeing what you were seeing, and I would hear the argument and I would know this just doesn't make sense, I would feel really sad for you. And I would cry tears. Like if you did something wrong and you couldn't say you were sorry and you had to defend it. And you know that this is something that sometimes we do. We would rather be right than ask for forgiveness. I remember I would feel really bad, or if I witnessed something where there was, that I saw people being unkind to one another, I would start crying. And my siblings would call me a crybaby, because there's a lot of that injustice out in the world. And when I would just pick up as an antenna. And so when we would go to a party, especially as I got older, and I knew that this was something that I needed to do, was that I would go to a party and my body would hone into the person that was the most lonely. I don't know why, but I would go there and I could not leave that person alone until I knew that I introduced them to somebody else. It's like this water barometer, like you go in there, it's like, okay, let's hone into the most lonely person in the room. Let me get this over with now. Let me introduce them to somebody else so they can start feeling like they're a part of this group. And then I would go off and I'd have a great time. Sometimes it'd be more than one person. And I would go off and introduce people. And that is what I did. And you know what? It helps in a marketing world to be able to have that gift. Now I know it's a gift. It wasn't a curse. Because most of my time was spent on taking care of other people. So I don't know, am I crazy? Am I the only one that has experienced this? Am I crazy? I don't know. Robert, are you reading these? Because there's a lot. There's certain things that I want to say before we go. So if you're in a place where you cannot agree, you focus on what you don't agree with. But here's a tip. Go your separate ways. Figure out what you could do, or what could you possibly accept, or what would you possibly be able to say, okay, that's a great compromise. That's one of the things that Robert and I do when we have a disagreement, that we can't come eye to eye, because we're very strong. As you can imagine, we're both very strong. And so when there's a situation where we can't agree, which is rare now, after 26 years, it's rare, but it does happen. And then, or if we have an argument and we like Latin temper, Irish temper, then we come back and we're good. But that's not what happens. We've done a lot of work on ourselves to be able to get to that place. So there's a mindset that needs to change in order, because if you look at how you handle conflict in the home, it's not going to be very different than how you handle conflict at work and how you handle conflict when you go to the grocery store, or how you handle conflict when you get your hair done, or how you handle conflict when you're in a difficult situation. It's all the same. It's all the same. So if you're telling me a story that, oh, this is the first time I behaved such a way, chances are it's not real. Chances are that somebody called you out on your stuff and you're being aware of it. Or maybe it's gonna, that throwing a fit or throwing a tantrum is now costing you a little bit more than just doing it and losing your temper in front of your kids. So I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying, that there has to be a mindset of win-win. So focus on what you will do, focus on what you can agree on, and, focus on stepping back, especially if somebody pokes you in the eye. And I've said this before, I've said this so many times, if somebody pokes you in the eye, try to figure out, what is it about that person that reminds you of yourself? It reminds you that that's a behavior you don't like looking at in yourself. Again, the plank in your eye is so much bigger than the speck in your neighbor's. So I decided, especially coming towards the end of the New Truth series, Book of Revelation, the next one is going to be the New Truth series, 50 Lessons from Exodus, which I'm really excited. That one starts January 18th. So mark your calendars and there's going to be notification. But just today, I think yesterday, Monday, it's on whenyouneedafriend.com. It's the New Truth series workshops. So we're going to be like 1 hour, or depending on if we go a little bit longer than 1 hour, is not enough to change our life. We really have to change our mindset, because remember, 99% of all disease begins in the heart. And if we're too focused on our neighbor's speck, we will never see the plank in our eye. And I remember my entire life, here you go, let's go back. If I was going to read a book, it was going to be a self-help book. I wanted a book that was going to help me. And when I studied the Bible for 7 years, and this was back in, back in the early 2000s, I remember for the first time, like when you read these stories, seeing myself in the story, not just Peter, not just the woman at the well, not just, the lepers that did not come back, only 1 of 10 came back. How many times have we not said thank you or been grateful? Every story, every scenario becomes an opportunity for us to grow. So the question is, there's a lot of discontentment in the world, but are you feeling discontent in your current situation? I want to see how many of you are discontent. Give me the thumbs up, give me a heart, give me a amen, sister, give me something that I can see if you are discontent right now. If that there's something in your life that you need to release, that maybe there is some forgiveness that needs to happen, or maybe you want to release weight. Maybe that there is guilt. And although we have discussed many times, guilt is not bad if it's done right. But if you take that guilt to be controlled and manipulated, and all the things that can happen when you are working out of guilt or working out of fear, it's not the same as if you were working out of love. Now that's the sweet spot. So if you find yourself in discontentment and anything in your life, anything, then listen up. Because even if you don't have discontentment in your life, then perhaps maybe it's time to grow a little more. Wouldn't you say? Because nobody's life is perfect. And that's the biggest lie from social media and the news and the magazines that you buy that have the swimsuit competition for Sports Illustrated, or, these whatever, magazines that you're buying where people look so beautiful, and you're comparing your interior with their exterior. Today, I was told that because I smile, I cannot possibly be in pain. But you know what? Smile anyway. Even if you have pain, smile anyway. Because it doesn't matter. It's what you do with that pain that matters. It's not the snake bite that kills you. It's the poison that runs through your blood. So how do you reconcile this discontentment? How do you reconcile, oh, my life is perfect, I don't need to change, I don't need to grow? Well, honey, draw a chalk line around you, because you are dead. Because if you're done growing and you think this is the best it's going to get, then I've got some news for you. It can be better. It can get better. But first, the mindset has to change. For you to go, what would it mean to you? What would it mean to you if everything in your life had to be win-win? Win-win everywhere you go. Win-win at work. Even if you're a lawyer, how can I create win-win? I bet you that was not something you learned in law school. But what if you had that mentality and still won? Everybody won. What if you went through life with compassion and kindness and said, man, that woman is pitching a fit. She must be really sad. Instead of saying, I can't believe she's talking about me this way. She doesn't even know me. She doesn't even know who I am. She doesn't even know anything about me. She just knows I'm not wearing a mask. And you know what? It doesn't matter, because it's my perspective that's going to count at the end. My perspective is my reality, and everything is an illusion. Go figure. So how do we change the mindset? So here's the good news. Here's the good news. So I will promise you that I am going to look at everybody's comments, and we've got lots of comments. So thank you, Victoria, Diane. I will take a moment and I will look at all your comments in a little bit. But first, I want to tell you that I want all of you that are watching to share and all those things that you normally do in social media. I want you to spread the good news, because it is time to take it up a notch. It is time to grow even more. It is time. I'm challenging all of you to be self-cleaning ovens. But first, we need to start with the mindset. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now in the world, a lot of stuff that's going on. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what somebody else believes. It doesn't matter. What really matters is how much we care, our kindness. It doesn't matter how mean-spirited they are. It only matters how we respond to it. So I want all of you to help in this mission to try to change the world. Do your part. Only God can change the world, but you do your part and be a part of the solution. Being part, because all of us, we all want answers. We have so many questions for Dr. Day. People have questions for me. Everybody wants answers. But what do you do with those answers? How do you convert these answers into action? How do we convert answers into solutions? Because here we go. If there's a problem, there's a solution. But how do you become part of that solution? So the first problem that we have is lots of rumors that we are in the process of losing our freedom. Lots of that there's so many things that are coming our way that we have no idea. Well, Dr. Day has given us a few clues, and I keep focusing on the end of the story. No different than when I had my breast implants removed. I wasn't looking at the surgery. I was looking at the healing. The surgery was the ends to the means. In whatever hard times we see ahead, that's the ends to the means. But the mindset, that mindset, we can go there kicking and screaming like a 2-year-old being dragged by their parents across the store because the child wants a piece of candy and the parent says no. And the child just throws themselves. And that's what I visualize God doing to us. Just grabbing us by the hand, saying, just follow me, just go this way, just keep going, one foot in front of the other. Or you can yank them and toss them around and throw them. Not good. Not going to end well for either one. So the first thing I want you to do is subscribe to whenyouneedafriend.com. Not too long ago, they knocked our website down, and we went with a secure server on our own. There's nobody sharing our server. It's secured. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com. So if you tune in and you can't find us, then you know that at least at whenyouneedafriend.com, hopefully, if they don't knock that down too, you will know where to follow us and where to find us. But I am very grateful to YouTube and Facebook that we have this platform. But we're looking at other platforms. And of course, I want you to like and follow, subscribe, do all the things, share, tell everybody about the classroom, this free classroom that we get to learn and grow together. This is my passion. This is my mission. But it is not my duty to make sure that you change. But I can also be a part of that. So when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, just make sure that you check out my affiliates and my sponsors, my bags, my little bag of goodies. Go check them out. Tomorrow we have Keep Me Safe Organics. And let me tell you how taking out chemicals. And next week we're going to have Dr. Pizzorno, who talks about getting the toxicity out of your body because of all the chemicals. And part of those chemicals are makeup and cleansers. And so I'm glad that we've had like-mindedness, people that will take a stand and say, not my body, not today, not ever. And they create. So tomorrow we're going to be talking to them about turning our setbacks to comebacks. But check out all my sponsors, all the affiliates, and figure out ways that you can support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. Second, you as an enrolled student, if you're watching today and you have benefited from this classroom, I need your help, because little by little, the sponsors are going away and the costs are going up because, there's lots of costs now compared to how they were before. And if we need to find other platforms, there'll be greater costs. So I ask you, enrolled students, you teachers' pets, if you can donate $1 or $1,000, whatever you can donate, just send it. Just do it. Just go to the enrolled student page, and you could either be a recurring donor, or you can write a check. There's addresses there. You could go to PayPal. There's so many different ways that you can help financially. But if that is something that you cannot do, then spread the good news about the classroom to your friends. All you have to do is post it and say, hey, like and follow. This is a place where I've learned so much and I've grown with Lily. So please, whatever you can do will help us grow, because we've got to change the mindset. And I keep saying the mindset needs to change. And I promise I'm going to read all of your questions before we go. So with that in mind, one of the things that started festering in me, or like, oh my gosh, the classroom is done in 2 weeks with Dr. Lorraine Day. What's next? Well, January 18th, we start the next series. It's a 12-week series, and I'm looking forward to telling you all about that with Dr. Day, like we did before of the Book of Revelation. And we have over 140 people. Some were scholarships, but a lot of them were just so excited to be a part of this. But what do we do in between? We have holidays. we have spending money, we have celebrations, lots of drinking, lots of those things that happen during the holidays, where it's about spend, 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 spend. And we forget the reason why we celebrate. That kindness, the compassion, the mindset, getting ourselves ready for trials, getting ourselves ready, not dwelling on it, but how do we say, it is what it is? How do we say that in a way that is helpful and that creates and builds? So we've got the New Truth series, I am the solution. I am, we know who the I am is, the solution. I am the solution. So if something is bothering you and you don't know how or what, like for me, it was that little pinhole in my soul, just a tiny little pinhole. And whenever I was quiet and there was no distractions, no television, no children, no husband, no friends, no serving, no middle of the show, whatever it is, I could feel that little hole in my soul, in my heart. Sometimes, depending on how much I wanted to ignore it, I could hear a little breeze through it, like a little whistle. And you know what? It was when I was like in my 47, 47. I was like, I'm nearing 50. I'm nearing 50. And I know there's something better out there for me. And I didn't know this. And this all started because I was challenged to eat raw food for 1 month. And man, after 4 days, I felt really good. But it wasn't that I was feeling bad. I just didn't know I could feel better. So even if you think there's no room to grow, or even if you think that your hands are tied and that there's no negotiating with your mate, or there's no negotiating with your boss, or maybe you're in a dead-end job that you just feel that there is no way out. Maybe you don't want to deal with molestation in your life, or maybe you just don't want to deal with that uncle that hurts you, or an ex-husband, or an ex-wife, or a child that passed away. Maybe you just don't want to deal with any of it. And you think, I'm fine. But in this weekend workshop, which is November 13th, 14th, 15th, that weekend workshop, please know we're going to gently dip our toe and keep dipping and keep dipping and take our soul shovels out and keep digging until the only thing you see looking back at you is truth. These new truths that perhaps you thought supported you when you were going through this, you coping with it, but now they don't support you anymore. Now they're sabotage. Now they're hurting you. Now they're keeping you from living the life of your dreams. Now, and again, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means we have got to be self-cleaning ovens so that when you go through a hard time, you immediately start looking at the benefits of it, the blessings, the gifts, all the things that you have gained versus what you lost. I have had many losses in my life, but many people don't know that I've had losses. Why? Because they were gifts and lessons, and those are the things you're going to hear about. Would you like something like that? So we're going to have some workshops coming through, but the first one is I Am the Solution. And so I want to encourage all of you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com, click onto the New Truth series, and then there's 2 right now that you can select is if you want to be a part of the Book of Revelation, the Bible study, for those of you who are like, well, it's too late now, there's only 2 weeks left. No, we have recorded everything. So from this point on, even if we're done with it, you still have access to that. So you can still become a member. You can still learn about the end of times and what God says, not the media says, or mainstream media says, or social media says, or your neighbor says, or the president says, or the governor says. You get to hear, and you get to research, and you get to make yourself right with God. Not me doing anything. It's what God works through you. And I guess I've completely changed my commitments, completely changed the line in the sand, completely changed so many different things. And that's okay. I don't have to be the person that started the show back then. Is a different person who is before you today because of everything that I've learned, because of everything that's been done. I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful that for the good things, the bad things, the indifferent things. But how do we take the time, like the 10 leopards, the 10 leopards, only one came back. And I remember there's so many stories in the Bible. And one in particular that comes to mind, and Dr. Day and I talked about this just recently, was the paralytic man that sat by the pool. And the place was called, it was called Waters. It was the pool at Sheep Gate. For 38 years, this paralytic man was waiting, because the story was that when the water stirred, the first one that jumped into the water would be healed. So for 38 years, they sat there. The paralytic man sat there. And Jesus saw him from afar and said, he knew the story of this guy, but he went to him and said, do you want to be healed? Do you want to be healed? Actually, depending on what translation, healed, whole. And the paralytic man had a lot of excuses. I've been here, and every time the water bubbles, I try to get there, but somebody jumps ahead of me. Jesus could have picked him up, levitated him, thrown him in the pool, created the illusion of the water doing whatever it was supposed to do. Jesus could have said, you're healed, be done with it. But Jesus said, then pick up your mat and walk. Pick up your mat. How many of us need to pick up our mat and walk? Are you ready? Are you ready to do whatever it takes? Or are you singing the song of the great philosopher Meatloaf that says, I would do anything for, fill in the blank, love, diet, nutrition, health, wellness, to get rid of my disease, to get rid of all. But here's the thing that we say, but I won't do that. I won't do that. I won't agree with you. I won't reconcile with you. I won't. So the question is, what will you do? What will you do? Only you can answer that. And it's between you and God. And that's what this weekend's going to be. It's going to be an experiential weekend where you have an opportunity to dig until you find your truth. Are you ready? Are you ready to take that? I ask you the question, do you want to be whole? Do you want to be healed? Do you want to get rid of years of past trauma, years of things that you're carrying, lack of forgiveness? Do you want to be whole? Well, the invitation is for November 13th, 14th, and 15th. Go check it out at whenyouneedafriend.com. and let's continue to grow together. Because unless you're willing to pick up your mat, you will sit by the side of the pool. What is it that you would like to release? Only you can find that answer. But the moment you say, nothing, I'm all good. Remember, even if you feel like you're okay, there's always a different layer, and you can go deeper and deeper to find a new truth. So it's time to change this mindset where everything in your life has been a great gift, not a curse, but a blessing. Because blessing comes in so many different ugly wrapping papers, but it's up to us to unravel it and see the gift inside. So I am going to continue. I'm going to look at all your questions and all the stuff that's there for the teacher's pet after the class here, and we're going to continue to grow together. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
And are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so I don't know if this is the right thing. We need to buy cryptocurrency on Bitcoin. Okay, I, you know what? I am not a Bitcoin kind of person. So if that's what you're saying, that's fine. But so let's say Lillian would like to interview you on my show, Conspiracy Castle. I recently interviewed Dr. Day. Oh, very nice. Of course, reach out to me. Let's talk. I was about to recommend that crossover with Conspiracy Castle. Okay, good. Hey, welcome. I love the fact that you are with us. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to look at now Facebook. And thank you so much. Let's see, Victoria. I have been traveling a lot at the East Coast of Florida, and I have never had to wear a mask, not once. Yep, that's true. And nobody says anything. I don't know about all this television drama. You know, there are paid actors that do these things. I just wish that people would just have some form of that their principles were greater than money. I wish that would happen, but it is what it is. Okay, so Diane Martin Smith. Okay, hold on a second. I'm getting this right here. So hold on a second. Let me go back, because when you guys post a question, okay, let's see. Diane, you said the masks are symbolic, dehumanizing, satanic humiliation ritual, symbolic of control and subjugation, do not consent. Okay. Masks are not about the virus. Oh, it's just like catching a mosquito with a chain link fence. You know, it's like stopping a mosquito with a chain link fence. It's not going to happen that way. I can assure you. So thank you so much for watching, Diane and Victoria. Yeah. Okay. And let's see. Yes. So Victoria, you're, let's see. It's been proven masks don't protect against anything. They just make you sick. Yep. You know, but for every person that says it's been proven, there's another article that says it hasn't been proven. So that's the thing that I'm talking about. Everybody's arguing about the same thing, but we have a different perspective. So I just want to encourage all of you to really sit back and say, you know, this isn't about me. It's not about them. This is about good and evil. This really, truly about good and evil. And and Victoria, I love our time together talking about forgiveness. That will always be a highlight in my heart. So thank you so much. Every time I see you, you know, promote forgiveness that will set you free, it makes my heart sing. Okay, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled. Yes, people can't believe they are being deceived by TPTB, I don't know. You have to say what TP, I don't know what that acronym is. So they don't love us. Yeah, I would say that it's not up to me to convince anybody. All I can do is, you know, if people are watching the classroom, perhaps it's because they want to learn something different. But if they're watching to be critical, I just can't do that. I don't entertain a minute on that one. Although I've talked a lot about it today, but normally don't. Okay, so the next comment, the New World Order, I'll reserve that one for later. Diane and Laurent, I guess here in France, people have just to realize they listen too much to the media. They do not, there was no epidemic at all, and they are preparing mass vaccines. Yes, 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 yes. Just know that once you comply, that's where I draw the line. That's where I will draw the line. That's where Dr. Day also draws the line. And it is time for us to, our mindset needs to change. What are we willing to do to take a stand? And the prices might get a little steeper. The prices versus the cost, the cost and the benefits. We need to know that, to me, I am not going to give in to evil. And it may not end well for me, but I know the end of the story. I know the end of the story. But I am not going to comply. I will take a stand, and wherever that leads, just know I'm healthy. So if you hear about me that all of a sudden I disappeared or anything to that effect, which, I know God is protecting me, just know that I would never harm myself. I would never do that to my family. I would never do that for myself. And I certainly would never do that for the gift that God gave me of life. So for as long as I have breath within me, I will continue to proclaim God's word, and I will continue to err on what's just and right. And if I am wrong, I'm going to be the first one to admit that, you show it to me, I will do the research, but we just need to know that I pray that all these people that are saying that, everything's going to turn out fine and that we're not going to have to go through the end of times or whatever, if we're being, that's being prolonged. But the moment they tell us we can't read our Bibles, the moment they tell us that we can't have free speech or that our constitutional rights are violated, then what do we do? What do we do? And I want to encourage you to go to I Am 99. I Am 99 is not about like-mindedness. It's about stopping the fighting amongst ourselves. Because what happens is that the 1% of the 1% is dividing us. First it was religion, then it was color, and now we're like you're start at 40, instead of 99%, it's 45%, then it's 25%, and then it's 12%, and we're all fighting. It doesn't matter. Now we're just like subcategories. We're not even human anymore. We're not a human race. We're just beating up on each other. So I Am 99 is about coming together in prayer. I have been praying. We did the Ho'oponopono, and Dr. Day said, Lily, about the Ho'oponopono, don't leave God out of this equation. You pray to God, that God takes care of the people. And I thought, I better go back and I better change that a bit. So I am doing a new and improved form of Ho'oponopono, where I ask God to go there, and I pray for the hearts of the evil that's evil out there. I pray for all these people because only God can change their hearts. And we've had lots of controversy in the New Truth series about how do we defend ourselves? If somebody's going to kill me, do I kill them? Those are all questions that Dr. Day has been very, very vocal about. And, I've never owned a gun. I shot a gun once, and I'm proud to say that my son and I, we went to a range and I did pretty good. I think I did the center of the, with the gun. But I know that if I were to ever kill somebody, even if they were going to come at me, I know that I could not live with that. It would be easier for me to die than to kill somebody. So when Dr. Day talks about this stuff, I listen and I say, you know what? I'm not going to mourn something that hasn't happened yet. So I am very much in the now. I hope that all of you decide that you too want to be part of growing your mind and having the mindset of someone who is kind and loving. You know, what do you want people to say about you and your life? What is your legacy as we take our final breath? Do you want them to just like go fighting over the money or the jewelry? You know, is that what you want? Or do you want people to miss you because you taught them kindness and compassion and you taught them about unconditional love? And if these are lessons you haven't learned, then let's learn them together at the workshop. I will tell you that the workshop, we have, let me see, I want to make sure that I have everybody. Oh, thank you, Robert, for putting the number down. And my number's right here, right there, right there. So you can call me, text me, and we can arrange a time too. But I would love that. Thank you so much. So the workshop is Friday, starts November 13th from 6 to 9 p.m. This is where we're going to learn about the principles, you know, like the stuff that I've learned from Dr. Bruce Lipton and all the teachers in the classroom about our health, a lot of the things that Dr. Day talks about. And I'm hoping, you know, that maybe Dr. Day will join us, but that's up to her. And then on Saturday, this is going to be a phenomenal day where, as we know, Saturday is our Sabbath. And so we're not going to be doing a lot of work other than doing work for God. And we're going to be talking about God, what God has done for us. And we're going to discover these past traumas or things that are not quite right in our lives. And how are we going to discover the blessing and giving glory to God for these things? How do we get there? Oh, I could never get there. Well, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Changing those limitations and working through honoring God on the Sabbath, which is Saturday. And that is from noon to 3 p.m. If we want a little bit more time, it's up to you guys, but I want to honor your Saturday. But we are going to honor the Sabbath on that day while we're working on ourselves so that we can see the beauty, so that we can be one of the 10 that came back to say thank you, of the lepers that we learned about in the Bible. And then on Sunday, that's going to be a big day. That's going to be a big day. That's the day that we really learn to go from that victim mentality to empowered, responsible, and unstoppable. Because, as it says in the Bible, that I can do all things through Christ. Because we have, if we only had a speck of what God is in us, we could do all things. We're going to change that perspective. We're going to change all the different ways that we've looked at our life. And we're going to tell a new story. That new story that is going to empower you and set you free. So I see some questions. Lily is the best. Thank you. Looking forward to the workshop. Yay! Go to whenyounneedafriend.com. Just say that you go to check onto the workshop and then just say that you're interested for now. There's going to be early registration. And as always, there's less of a price for it. And it's going to be $145, which is less than a coaching call. 1 hour coaching call is $150. And if you are a subscriber, it's $125. But if you're not a subscriber, it's $150. And so for less than a coaching call, you get a whole weekend of support and being lifted by each other. When was the last time you felt that? So I am excited to be able to do this with you. And then after the registration, so early registration is October 29th through the 5th. So I believe it's on the 29th. We're going to, you can register at that point, but I'll be telling you a little bit more about it as the weeks progress. And then after November 6th, It's $180 a person, but that's for the whole entire weekend. So I hope that you guys will be a part of this. It's worldwide. So it is part of the Zoom. And so I'm really excited that we are going to be able to be a part of this together, form some good friendships through it. And it's amazing. Even though they've tried to keep us apart, we keep finding ways to come together. And I hope that you will join us on that day. And I hope you join us tomorrow. Now, tomorrow it's 8 o'clock in the morning. And that's when I get all my European friends coming into the classroom because it's a different time for them. So at 5 o'clock. So I absolutely love all of you for joining us tonight, joining me tonight. When I say us, I mean me and all of us together. And I'm looking forward to our conversation tomorrow. So please join us, and please remember, this is how you can get a hold of me. Anytime that you've experienced a problem, the moment that it occurs, just know prior to it happening, there is a solution, and that solution is you. I am the solution. That's God. You and God. This weekend, we will come together and we will discover new ways to see things through a new set of eyes and a soft heart. So we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. I hope you will join us. Bye. And I look forward to hearing from Castle. So